Hey guys, welcome to Outlaw Edge. So what I'm working on today is there's a bunch of holes in there's a couple in the body, a couple in the hood, and there's a couple, 4 or 5 in the doors on the unibody truck that I'm working on. And what I'll do is I'll flip the camera around and show you what I'm doing today. So I keep forgetting to weld this up. I gotta get that done. But I'm getting ready, or not getting ready, getting rid of the holes in the hood. This is where those little spray nozzles were for the wipers. And get rid of those. And then this here has to be welded up, and these holes have to be welded up. And I'm gonna TIG weld all this stuff, but excuse me. I wanted to, whoa, sorry about the crappy camera work. I wanted to get some holes punched out of some 20 gauge sheet metal so I can weld this stuff up. And this here is 20 gauge sheet metal. And I just punched one of these out. Damn. I just punched one of these out to, you know, just to show you how easy it does it or whatever. And that was with this one. And I did a video a while back. Now my old set was not Harbor Freight, and it was from the farmer's blacksmith shop in California. And the set that I had the chamfer on the bottom, and you would punch these out, but it was a little bit different set than this. So a guy in the video said, hey, you have those upside down, use them the other way, and they work better. Well, he was right. So these punch out way easier when they're that way with the chamfer on the top. So obviously this set is different than the one that I had in the past. But this is the punch and die set, and it's the Harbor Freight part number 95547, if you guys are interested. And it comes with, I wrote hole punch kit, but it's actually the punch and die set. But this is a really good set for fabricators to have. And then what I did is I took this one, and this is the set, or this is the punch that I need for here, and that's for the size I already measured on those doors for the holes. So I'll get some of these punched out, and I'll use my favorite hammer. And I'll get some of these punched out, and then get them TIG welded into the door. So I'm gonna put some safety glasses on. Don't be a dumbass, because these things go flying sometimes. But I'm going to slide this like this in here. Now this is gonna be loud when I hit on this with a hammer, so watch your ears. And then as simple as that, well, what I do is drop it through the other side. This is hard to do with one hand though, so. And then here's that plug that I need for the door. And that's just regular 20 gauge sheet metal. And you can see how nice it cleans it out, or cleans it up, you know, ready to weld in. So what I'll do is I'll take some TIG welding wire, or even MIG welding wire, and I'll weld it to this to hold it in there, to TIG weld it in the circle, in the hole. Or the other thing I can do is I can take this and slide a magnet over the corner of this and drop it in the hole, and this won't fall, it'll be held with that magnet. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. Get out of here, fly. Now over here at the door, these are the holes that I'll be filling. And I'll give you a couple of little quick tech tips to make your life easier when you're doing this kind of stuff. On these holes, if you try to drop one of these in, these little round pieces that you just made, it's kind of a pain in the ass, and you got to file and do whatever. Just take a unibit and step it to the next size. And if you measure that, or you know, drill a piece of scrap metal and then try one of these little pieces in there, and it'll fit a lot nicer. And then the other thing is, when you go to weld this, with that unibody, I'm working on a unibody. With that unibit, drilling the holes out, it also cleans those edges. So when you're TIG welding, those edges are clean now. They're not just filled up with rust and, you know, paint remover and whatever that's inside those holes. Because the factory holes, if you look at them, they're not even round. They're all like goofy and oblong and whatever. So it makes it kind of a pain in the ass to weld these in there. And then the other thing is, As you can see, these really good on camera. You almost lose these when they don't have anything on them. So take some dye, machinist dye, and just spray the panel, let it dry, and then punch these out. And when you lay them on your panel, lay them right side up. That way, when you're going to grab your magnet, you know, they're easy to find. And then all I do is I sit them like this, and when I'm getting ready to weld, I just reach over and grab one with a magnet. Oops. And then they're ready to go in the hole. That's kind of hard to do with one hand. they're easier to go in the hole, you know, and then you just hold the magnet on the corner, and it'll let it sit there, and then you can TIG weld it with a spot weld, pull the magnet off, and then weld around those caps or little circles that you made. Hope that makes sense. Now I have the magnet sitting there, and I grabbed the corner of one of those circles and dropped it down in there after I ran the unibit, you know, in here, so it's one size bigger. And then now the edges are clean for welding. And then like this one, I didn't even drill it all the way through, but I already test fit it. It sits down in there nice, and it's flush. You can see it's nice and flush with the door. So that magnet, I'm gonna hold it now, and I'll just take the tungsten on my TIG welder, and I'll put a small dot right there with a spot weld, and then all you gotta do is slide that magnet back, and then you can finish welding. And if you drill these a little bit with a unibit, you go one size bigger, where you have the round patch and then you have a little bit of a gap, it's actually better, because then that gap is being welded up and it's hitting this side and it's hitting that little round patch that you welded in there. And then when you grind it off, you're not grinding the whole damn weld off the top of that patch, because eventually that'll just fall out. So you gotta be real careful with that too. But I'll go ahead and get these welded up. So the next step I did is I cleared off my TIG welding table, and then I took a rag and cleaned it. You can see how dirty it was. Cleaned it with alcohol, this area here and all these, and it's just denatured alcohol. Usually I use acetone, but I don't have any right now, so I'll have to grab some. And then don't be a dumbass and leave the rag and the acetone and the rags on, you know, on the stuff, because one spark hits that, you know, and your arm's gonna be right here welding. So, you know, pay attention, be careful. But I'll go ahead and get everything set up with the welder and try to get this stuff welded up. One of the things I wanted to say too is, since if you're punching out a bunch of holes for a setup like this, you know, and you go to put your tools away, the extra slugs or whatever that are sitting here, take those, don't just throw them in the garbage, throw them in there. Then that way, you know, you'll start saving them right here or in a little box or something. You got plenty of room in the box. And next time you're doing a fabrication project, you'll open that up to cut some, and you'll realize you've got some in there. So I'm going to show you guys a really cool trick with the TIG welder. I'm going to actually turn this guy on. Let it run for a little bit. Sorry about that. And then now I have 30 wire from my MIG welder that I'm going to use on the TIG welder. And I'll use this for doing those little tiny pieces, because those pieces are so small. This will make it welding really super easy. Look at that badass Iron Horse Garage shirt. If you guys haven't checked out our other channels, go check out Iron Horse Garage, Iron Outlaws, and NZMOPAR Outlaw Customs. So I got my welder set, all ready to go, and just realized I didn't even have the damn circle put in there, so. Super easy. Now for the spot weld, I'm just going to use my tungsten, the end of my tungsten, and I made sure and sharpened it. And then once I get a little spot weld, I'll take the body hammer and tap around, make sure it's not popped up or nothing like that, and then I'll go ahead and weld it up. I'll let go. Actually, that one looks pretty good. So now, weld this bitch. Man. One of the things too, you want to watch your heat. I just burned a hole right there, so, but it's because I floored my foot pedal. Man, might have to use some bigger rod. Oh, yeah, that's it. I gotta let this thing cool down a little bit too. I don't want this panel to get too hot, and then it'll start warping all over the place, either down or up or, you know, wherever. Wow, that looks like crap. The next one will look better, I promise. 'It's easy to get excited and try to finish welding everything up, and then you end up getting it too hot. And then once it's too hot, it ends up warping it. So you don't want to do that. Let it cool. And I can see it hasn't moved around, so we're doing good. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. I'll try to get some of these welded, and then when I grind them and clean them up or whatever, I'll come back and show you guys where I'm at. Now I ran a metal file over the top of it. .36 grit die grinder. .36 grit DA. Now in the camera, you can see a little bit of imperfections right there, and you can tell that that's where it welded. If you run your finger on there, you can feel it. But for the most part, if you run a rod on here, you know, it's gonna have very little filler right there. So it worked out great. Now I can hammer that from the backside if I want to, knock it out a little bit and work on it a little bit more. But you can tell it's like so minimal, you know, there's a little bit of a low spot right there. So, you know, I might try to knock that out a little bit, and then the rest of it I'll spread some putty in there. But I noticed that most of these holes do have a little bit of a divot in them. I don't know if that's from the factory when they pressed them or pushed them out or what it was, but I'll try to knock them out, hammer them a little bit. But anyways, I'm gonna finish this project up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one. Later.